So back in 2022, we put out a video talking about how we built our ultimate gaming setup for Roll-to-One. And for a while, it really was. But after 2.5 years, a few more campaigns, and some seriously wobbly camera arms, we decided it was time to take it up a notch. This is the story of how we redesigned, rebuilt, and reimagined our studio from the ground up. Not just to make it look cooler, but to unlock the next phase of what Roll-to-One could be. So it all kinda started with some board games. We'd begun doing more frequent tabletop live streams, right? Board games, strategy games, party games, and for some of us, that naturally kinda led to an increased interest in wargaming. Star Wars Legion, Warhammer 40K, that sort of thing. The problem? Our table wasn't really built for it. The diamond shape that works so well for D&D kind of makes the tabletop reach a little awkward depending on where you're sitting, so the angles just weren't really lending themselves well to fair gameplay.
So when we made the last one, we immediately found flaws in it. I think it's similar with any type of art you release. You immediately are like, oh crap, here's all the things I wish we could fix. We did make a list of all the things that we wanted to improve. And those two things, at least for me, were I need the table dark so that it can contrast against cards or things on the table. And I need to be able to play war games on it.
We tossed around the idea of modifying the old table, cutting out removable leaves in the tabletop, but the overall structure of the table just wasn't really designed for that. And the amount of modifications it was looking like it would need was kind of starting to look more like a Ship of Theseus scenario. We started from scratch. I wanted 3 things: a flat rectangular center for board and war games, angled player seating for actual plays, and modularity.
Actually, my favorite thing about the table is that it moves. It's on wheels. Zane bought these casters, not spellcasters, but these things on wheels that he attached to the bottom. It enables us to wheel it around, move it, put things together, put pieces together.
Honestly, one of the biggest headaches was those stupid wheels. The casters we had did not fit very well on the 2x4 legs and actually ended up having to chop off the leg ends and redo them. At that point, I kind of had one more chance to get it right. So if I had messed it up at that point, half the work I'd done would have just been like completely scrapped. But thankfully, it ended up working, and here we are. The finished table has 4 interlocking base sections, and the side wedges can be removed to create a 4x6 rectangular space in the middle, which fits right into the standard map size of games like Warhammer. One of the features I was actually really happy with was the top finish. Instead of just a coat of like plain black paint, we torched the wood grain and used a near black stain. The end result, I think, really pops into the light, adds texture, and still reads pretty clean on camera. Plus, if you look closely, you can still see a subtle Roll-to-One decal in the center. Big shout out to my buddy Buck here. He was a big contributor to the build and brought in some much needed workshop experience. I was the kind of guy who came in with blueprints, 3D mockups, paper cutouts, like full-on CAD goblin mode. But Buck showed up with like a tape measure, a pencil, and his instincts. Honestly, I think that contrast between us kind of made everything better. And I know I ended up learning a lot from it. And for real, shout out to Lowe's for like the dozens of hardware store runs we had to make during this process. I think I lost track after like the 6th run for washers or something.
So we said, let's build a table in a week. Guess what? That took 2 weeks. Hey, let's take a couple days to put the table back together. That took a whole week.
Yeah, the room itself got a total transformation.
So this table initially, in this room in particular, was totally 90 degrees turned. We had half of this room being utilized and the lighting grid would sit over top. So we said, oh, we no longer need this back half to be a living space. We moved things around a bit, and now we have all of the storage for all of the gaming stuff over here. And then that enabled us to completely rotate this table. Now that opened up a whole slew of options.
So when we're building a map for an episode or session, it all starts right here at our staging table. I load it up with minis, I load it up with terrain. Basically, I build out a city or farm or whatever it is we're playing on that day. Then we pretty much grab each end and we load it over to our regular D&D table. This means that I can bring in or clear out a map in under a minute. And it's pretty much a Dungeon Master's dream.
It really finally just feels like a space built for Roll-to-One. But let's not forget one of the most important upgrades we made was the lighting grid. The old one was basically a PVC jungle gym on 4 posts. It was functional, but it kind of was always getting in the way. So we ripped it down and rebuilt it as a totally ceiling-mounted grid. We ended up gluing all the joints together with PVC glue and suspending the whole thing with steel cables.
Obviously, the lighting grid and the way that we've reoriented the lights and repositioned. I did a bit of research and figured out what do the best of the best people who put on this type of show do. And we are hitting those marks of at least lighting position and the ability to turn a day into night, right? Like that's just, a remote away.
Let's talk gear. Mounted microphones, cable troughs, smart lighting presets, 3 big old TVs, a dedicated producer station, backup power, 2 remote-controlled PTZ cameras, an XR digital soundboard. Quick shout out to our boy Jacob for hooking us up with that one. Oh, and let's not forget a brand new custom-built production PC that runs the entire studio now. It's running on some decent specs, fitted with 2 capture cards, and obviously lit up with purple gamer lights. And just before we move on real quick, I want to give a shout out to our buddy Andy, one of the co-owners here at Roll to One, and the reason we even have this space to build in. Without him, this just wouldn't have even been possible. So, this whole project wasn't just like a cleanup. It was time, it was energy, it was a lot of learning. But the result, I think, is a studio that we can feel really empowered to create in. Whether it's our new actual plays like Nomenclad, wargame offerings like Star Wars Legion, or just more chill board gaming live streams, this setup was built to support all of it. And sure, there are things we'd do differently next time. We give ourselves more time to do it, for one, maybe hire it out to a professional, but what we built, it works better this time around, and it's ours.
This is, I think, a 2-year process kind of coming into fruition from Zane and I living together as buds, just daydreaming. It's pretty cool. Like it looks and feels like a studio despite it being in the loft of our buddy's house. So we're sort of artists. It's art. This table is art. This lighting grid is art. We're feeling pretty cool with the way that it's all turned out, and we hope you do too.